Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Oh, come on, guys. We get more enthusiasm than that. Come on, Slade, lead it. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, today, how do you make sure that your presentations end in yes? Every time. How do you do that? You have to have a plan, and you then have to orchestrate that plan with an effective presentation. Today we're going to discuss a structure for how to do that, so that every time you want to make a presentation and win, you can design a way to do it and you can execute. Anybody interested? All right. When you apply this formula and this process, you will rise into the top echelon, the top 20% of all the salespeople who sell today. And what do we know about that top 20% of salespeople? They make 80% of the money. Now, before we do, we have a couple things to cover. One, lots of you want extra credit, which is great. So I'm modifying our extra credit process. If you read the book and you write the one-page paper and you get it to me prior to the end date, which is April 10th, then you can schedule a date later than that to get partial credit. I'm going to give you credit, and you have to schedule an appointment with me. If you want to shadow a salesperson, same thing. You have to have the shadowing complete and the paper written and emailed to me prior to the end date. Then you can schedule an appointment at a later date and come and talk to me about it, and I will give you partial credit. Any questions?
Was the end date for the sales shadowing different than the, because I thought it was the 17th presentation.
The end date for the shadow is Friday, April 17th, and April 10th is the final for the book. All right. Any other questions about extra credit? Great. Now, let's talk about the rest of the semester. We've had snow days, we've had lots of interruptions. Let's get really focused now on what the end conclusion is and the class sessions that we're going to go through. The final project is that of your teams, which are comprised of 7 to 8 students, you're going to pick 2 students from that team who will make a final presentation. They will sell Culligan water filtration equipment to a real buyer in the soundproof room. You'll have 15 minutes to make that presentation, and you'll make it on the date that's in the syllabus. Team 1 is on one date, Team 2, Team 3, Team 4. So your teams are going to choose 2 people to do that, or you may volunteer. Why would you volunteer? Because it's from those presentations that I'll pull the best of those presenters to be on the sales team for next year. And I'm taking the sales team down next week to compete in the National Collegiate Sales Competition. Why are they going? Because that's where they get their jobs. There are 50 companies down there who are sponsoring the sales competition expressly to find entry-level salespeople. Entry-level salespeople. Number 2, your presentation will be videoed to this screen because there's a camera in that room, and we're going to record it. I'll put that up on YouTube in a non-public site. Who would you want to watch that? A recruiter. So the recruiter comes to me and says, do you have any students who'd like, and they talk to me about the student they're looking for. I'll evaluate the job, look at your profile, say, Mr. Barlow, sales, I don't know if you're a sales major, inside sales. Mr. Barlow made a presentation. Would you like to see him make a presentation? Sure. Because listen, guys, you can do this, and you make a 15-minute presentation, and you do it competently, and you walk through the process, and a recruiter sees you, you go to the front of the line. Last night, I had a sales team here. One of my very good friends, Steve Cherry, who is a very successful real estate broker, owns a firm, owns 6 different firms. He was in as the buyer, and he came out last night shocked at the quality of the presentation. You go right to the front of the list. So those of you who are going in sales, who want to make this count, volunteer to your teams. I want to make the presentation. Now, what do the other team members do once you've selected the presenter? There are 4 major roles. One person needs to become the expert in Culligan, knowing the product. One of the team members needs to be an expert in the process. One of the team members needs to be the expert on the person who's going to receive the presentation. I'll give you their name. You'll be able to find out lots of information about them. And the last one is, or the last 2 would be the people who would evaluate the quality of the presentation. And as you practice, they're going to say, what went well, what needs improvement. To the extent that all of those team members do a good job, as judged by the presenter. The presenters will tell me afterwards. If any of you decide that you're just going to be on the team but not do any work, I'll know, and your grade will go down as a result. The presenter will give me that information. If everyone makes a contribution, the final grade, the highest grade will go to the presenter, and a slightly lower grade will go to all the people who helped the presenter succeed. Any questions on that? Okay.
So there's only one person presenting?
2 out of the 7 or 8. They'll make individual presentations for 15 minutes each.
So how do we volunteer?
In your team. You get your team together, and you say, hey guys, I want to do it. And would any of you, is that okay? Most team members will go, oh sure, yeah, I don't want to do it.
What was the third person?
Third person, so you've got, you've got the Culligan product knowledge. You've got the process, you've got the person to whom you're making the presentation, and you've got improvement. Those are the 4 roles.
So the person that's presenting, does that mean somebody that's going to be here next year or what if they're actually?
Then, if you want to do it, you can still do it. And the advantage will be you'll have a presentation you'll be able to show somebody else. If you have any problems with 3 people wanting doing it for 2, then let me know and I'll help you break it down. Any other questions? Syllabus. How are you going to get ready for this? Today we're doing Futrell chapters 7 and 8. Friday. I'm going to spend a whole class period explaining to you the process of how to construct a presentation that will win every time. We're going to talk about various presentations today and how they're used, but I want to take an entire class period to show you how to do it, and then you're going to get the online wizard that will help you construct a presentation anytime you need it for any class and any purpose following this. You'll always be able, as a Western student, to go back in, go through the process and say, do this, do this, do this. What about this? What about that? What about that? What about that? It answers all your questions, so the output is a professional, persuasive presentation. That's right. Next Monday, we'll have quiz and chapters 7 and 8. Wednesday and Friday of next week, I won't be here. I'm taking the sales team down to the competition. The competition is next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. On Wednesday, Lucas Chestnut, who is the former franchisee of Culligan in Western Kentucky, will be here to teach you product knowledge, to answer every question you have about the product you're going to be selling. Friday, you're going to get together in your teams. You can come to class, and then you can leave if you want to. The purpose is to get you together to identify the presenters, identify the roles, begin to develop a schedule for how it is that you can help your presenter knock it out. Yes?
You said Monday was...
Do you have the current schedule? You updated?
Well,
after the snow days?
I thought the 7 and 8% Monday.
Sorry?
I thought 7 and 8% Monday.
They do? Then, did I said Wednesday. Did I say Monday?
Yeah.
I apologize.
Wednesday is 9 and 10 quiz. We already did 7 and 8.
Yeah, that was today.
That means Wednesday next week is Culligan. Friday is Getting Together. The next Monday on the 13th is 9 and 10 and your quiz. Then we'll have the discussion of chapters 9 and 10 on the following Wednesday. Team 1 will present chapters 9 and 10. On Friday the 17th, I'm going to give a short lecture on spin selling. This is out of chapter 9, but it's the process of how you ask questions in a way, when you probe, to cause the listener to go from to really. How to get the interest. And that process is called spin selling. Then team 2 is going to make a subject, need, idea, benefit presentation on Culligan. And that will be their presentation. It'll be short. They'll do that after I finish the spin conversation. You won't understand subject, need, idea, benefit until Friday, this Friday, day after tomorrow.
So they're presenting on that Friday also?
Yep. Then the following Monday, we'll have chapter 11 and 12 in the quiz. Wednesday will be team 3 will present 12 and 13. The next Friday will be Futrell chapters 13 and 14 and the final quiz. Then the next Monday, the 27th, team 4 presents chapters 13 and 14. And beginning on April 29th on Wednesday, you'll be making your one-on-one presentations inside the soundproof room. We'll have 4 sessions of those. We'll have a final session where we'll discuss what's on the final, and then you'll have your final exam, and your final exam will be online.
So during those days, your team's not presenting, do you still need them to
Yes. Should you come to class when your team is not presented? The answer is yes. The reason is you are watching presentations and you're evaluating them. You can learn a lot by watching how other people do it and the critique. That's why we go through the process. Now, if you have other things that you deem are more important for some irrational reason, then you won't be here. I can't control whether you come to class. I can give you a grade if you're here. I can score it, but of course I can't force you. That's up to you. Any other questions?
If we have a valid reason and talk to you, will you don't miss a lot of points? Will you take off a lot of points if we have a valid reason for not being here?
2. It's 2 points for attendance each session.
Okay.
You just missed 2 points.
I'm trying to get back to the extra credit. I'm trying to get everything straight right now. But if we want to do the extra credit for the book, we need to have the paper turned in before the actual due date, then schedule.
By the due date.
So as long as I have it to you by the 10th, and then I can schedule my meeting for the 11th, whenever.
Yes.
Okay.
I think this is the beginning part of it too. My person that I shadow, I think she knows me already.
Yes, she did.
But I haven't looked at paper yet.
write the paper, and you have until 17th to write the paper and get it to me. And if you've not set up an appointment, you can set up an appointment after the 17th and you'll get partial credit. If you've already scheduled the meeting, then you're going to get full credit. I have about 15 appointments a week.
And it's already full, is that what you're saying?
It's already full.
Also, you don't know if that's the proper credit.
Yep. But I'm not saying you don't get 0 credit because the syllabus says it wasn't by that date. You're dead. So at least you're going to get some credit. How much credit do you get? It's based upon the rigorousness of your shadowing experience, how much you learn, how much you can convey to me that you learned. That's what I want. That's the whole exercise, is watch someone and learn from them. Anything else? All right. What is your definition of success? There are probably hundreds and thousands of different definitions. I want to give you mine, which I got from my good friend Jim Singleton. He defines success as feeling good about yourself. You feel good about yourself, chances are you've been successful. If you don't feel good about yourself, you need to do something differently to achieve a higher level of success. How can you feel good about yourself on an ongoing basis? Stephen Covey, in The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which is on your reading list, it's on your list of books you can read for extra credit, and which I highly recommend, says this: create your own mission statement, which is about which will serve the purpose of your life. Like, why are you here? What do you hope to do that's valuable in your life? So when you set that mission statement, it then helps you understand whether or not you're successful. My personal mission statement is to inspire people to live better lives. It's one of the reasons I took this job over doing something else, because it fulfills that purpose. And when I do this, it makes me feel good. Well, this is how to have a high-quality life. So with this same idea, how can you have a successful experience in sales every time? You have to plan. You have to identify what's important to be able to have a successful experience. Now, Futrell talks about this, but he gets the order a little wrong. Let's start. First thing you think about when you are planning a presentation is not about the product, it's not about the process, it's not about the presentation, it's about who you're calling on. I'm not talking about the average slime bag salesperson. I'm talking about the professional. The professional says, who am I going to call on? And with today's fabulous information treasure trove on the internet, you creep them. You find out everything you can about that person. And you create what Futrell calls the customer profile. You don't set the objective in front of the profile. That is a product-based approach. We're pros. We're setting who first. You create your customer profile, which is everything you can possibly know about the person. Then, identify how to know whether or not you're going to be successful on the call. You set the objective. Every objective must be SMART. So Ms. Smith, talk to us about the steps. Making sure your objective is SMART. Number one.
I don't know.
Okay, Ms. Lear.
Specific. Measurable. Attainable. Realistic. Times.
Specific, measurable, attainable, achievable, realistic, time-bound. From this point forward, you want to rise to the top 20%? Make sure every goal you set, every objective you establish is SMART. Now remember the question about Jake's Body Shop on the quiz. How many had that one? Jake's Body Shop, where Avram goes in and is the salesman, and he's going to try to make a sale. Remember that, Mr. Hager? Ms. Hines?
Yeah, I have that one.
All right. Now, in that example, this is a salesman going in to sell Jake's Body Shop paint. The first question is where is Jake's Body Shop? In what state? For those of you who have seen the Blues Brothers. Illinois. Brian, you just earned a Derry dollar. Sometimes some useless knowledge you get rewarded for. You're going into Jake's Body Shop. So in that example, Avram is the salesperson. What is measurable, what is specific about his plan?
You want to sell 6 cans of paint?
Of paint. Sell 6 cans of paint. That's a specific can. So when you go into Jake's, he knows what he's going to do. Number 2, is it measurable? 6 cases of paint. What's the difference between attainable and realistic? This is really important. Attainable, achievable is the upper limit. Is it possible for me to do that? Is it humanly possible to sell 6 cases? Why don't I say, I'm going to sell 60? It's not possible. If you set unachievable goals, can you feel good about yourself, Mr. Yogan? No. You can't score. Even Michael Jordan couldn't score 100 points every game. If you set unrealistic goals, you're going to have a life in which you are continually dissatisfied with yourself. You cannot feel good about yourself. So when you set a goal, it has to have a bottom bound which says, is it realistic? Could I reasonably expect Jake to buy 6 cases of paint? Well, he ordered 6 cases last month and he ordered 6 cases the month before. Is that realistic? Yeah, I think I can sell him 6 cases. I don't want to set 4 cases. That's not strong enough. And is it time bounded? In this example, in Jake's Body Shop, with the quiz, Avram did not set a time-bounded goal. The time-bounded goal should have been, I'm selling them today. every goal you set from now on, if you really want to achieve it, make it smart. If it's not smart, it's just a dream. Next. So what objective should you establish? When it's smart, it should be possible that when you go in and you follow the steps, you can achieve your objective. You should set objectives that you can achieve in every sales call. Every one. Because remember when Daniel Pink talked about the quality of being buoyant, Mr. Ryan? What's that mean?
Being able to continually,
More volume.
being able to continually sell your product.
Is it about the product or is it about me?
It's about you.
And that is about you keeping yourself up.
Yeah.
Because all you hear about is no, 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 I don't want it, I don't need it. All these no's come in. You're going to have ways to keep yourself up. So when you set smart objectives that are achievable, you want to end your day and say, I hit every one of my objectives. Then you can have an adult beverage. You can feel good about it. You can achieve. Now, when you set these objectives, as salespeople, should you set results-based goals for yourself every day, every week, every month? That means I'm going to sell $60,000 worth of my product this week. Why not, Mr. Slade?
You should set more the long term if you are continuing. I mean,
Can you control whether someone buys? So if I set a goal that's a results-based goal, what happens? If I can't control that, I'll be disappointed if I set that as my goal. What can I control? I can control my actions, what I do. I can control when I'm prospecting the number of times I dial the phone. I can control the number of times. Now with some numbers, if I make the conversion, if I make 10 dials and one person answers, then I can set the answer goal. If I do my research and I know if I make 100 dials and I talk to 10 people and one I set up an appointment, then I just know that that's what I have to do to get an appointment. And once I make that conversion, I can say every week I want to set 5 appointments. That tells me I have to make 500 dials, I have to make this many conversations to get an appointment. When you have those ratios, then you are in control of your activities. Here's what happens. You succeed in your activities, you succeed in the results. You just can't predict when they're going to come. Then your sales manager can help you. If your conversion ratio between your activity and the result is too long, it just means you're ineffective. You need to learn how to close more often, how to make better presentations, how to ask better questions. You can analyze every step in the process to then shrink the amount of time between the call and the result. After I set the objective, the next thing I focus on are customer benefits. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm thinking about Jake. I know everything about Jake's body shop. I've got his buying history. I know that he goes to the Methodist Church because I found him on LinkedIn. I've connected to him in advance. I know he loves the Boys and Girls Club. I know he's in his 40s, he's married, and he has 3 kids. I put that in my contact record. I have that on my phone when I walk in. And I'm thinking about all this when I set my objective. Once I set my objective, 6 cases of paint, then I say to myself, what benefits will accrue to Jake if he buys my 6 cases? Let's guess. What are the benefits to Jake?
I was zoned out a little bit.
My objective is the 6 cases. Selling Jake 6 cases today. If he does that, what benefits accrue to him?
The seller will get this.
Jake is the owner of the body shop. What?
Money?
How would he get money?
Seller.
I'm selling him 6 cases. So he takes the paint, he puts it in his paint machine. He has a body shop. He sprays the paint on the new surfaces he's constructed. Because people have damaged cars and they want cars that are now fixed when they go out. So what's the benefit to him of selling him the 6 cases of paint?
Cars will get really better.
Cars will be better. Is that the real benefit? That's a benefit, so continue. What other benefits are going to accrue to him? Cars will look better.
The customer will be satisfied.
Customers will be satisfied.
And sales in the future.
Sales increase in the future. Referrals. He makes more money, right? So if you're Avram and you're walking in to Jake, the first thing out of your mouth ought to be, hello, Jake. I'm here to bring more business to Jake's body shop. Isn't that what he's interested in? Frankly, he doesn't give a damn about your paint. He wants more customers. The paint is just connects the dots between the wrecked vehicles and the customers who are satisfied. So you got the benefit. What need does Jake have that will be fulfilled when his customers are satisfied? What need, I'm going to ask that differently. Jake gets the 6 cases of paint. What needs will be satisfied when he buys those six cases?
He will have the availability to offer different paint colors, paint more cars, serve his customers better.
He's going to have a paint that can be used effectively, that will cover the surface in a constructive, efficient, cost-effective manner, right? That's what the paint does. So you say, I'm here, Jake, to talk to you about how to get more customers, to help you make more money. I know you're looking for paint that will enable you to inexpensively cover all these vehicles so that customers will be happy. If you buy 6 cases, my idea today is for you to buy 6 cases. When you buy them, you are going to get more customer referrals because people are going to love their cars, and in the end, you're going to make more money.
Does it matter if the need is presented before the benefit or the benefit before the need?
Yes, it does matter. The first thing out of your mouth ought to be the #1 benefit to him. Why?
Is it catches his attention?
You got it. He goes, yeah, I'm all over it, man. What are you going to do to bring more customers in? I got it. I know you need a paint to do this. You're right, I need good paint. Buy my paint. Have I sold him yet? No, I've just introduced the idea wrapped around his needs and benefits to him. Now we're going to go through this expressly on Friday. I'm just introducing the idea. And after you say the idea, subject, need, idea, then you follow through with, In addition to satisfying customers, those customers are going to provide you with more referrals because they're going to be so happy. And the end result is, when you look at your bank account next month, it's going to be bigger than it is today. Subject, name, idea, benefit. All you do. Now, have you sold them? No, you just introduced the idea that there's some benefits that are going to flow to him if he takes your idea. Once you have the benefits and the needs identified, then and only then do you create your presentation. I just did that. I just created the first part of your presentation, which is always subject, need, idea, benefit. Number one benefit becomes the subject. Questions about how to construct a sales plan. How many salespeople do this? Top 20%. The other ones just wing it. I just had a little confrontation with a salesperson. I was referred, a salesperson was referred to me to, we're doing some construction in our backyard, and this is a guy who sells bricks, pavers. He was referred to me by someone else. I called him and said, this person referred you. I'd like to talk to you. When can you come out? He said, I'll be there tomorrow morning. Actually, it was on Monday afternoon. He said, I'll be there Wednesday morning at about 9 o'clock. Okay? My wife texted me at 11:30, said the guy hadn't shown. So I called him. I said, I'm confused. That's how my idea always introduces issues where I could get pissed off. I said, I'm confused. You told me before yesterday you would be here by 9 o'clock and now it's 11:30. He said, oh, I apologize. I apologize. I said, well, I want to know what time you're going to be here. Well, he said, I apologized. What do you want me to say? I said, I just want to know whether you're going to be there in the next hour, because then my wife will expect you. Well, he said, if you want to call a competition, you just call him. Imagine. Little does he know, his boss is one of my very good friends. His boss is going to find out. That is not how to treat a prospect. He needs to be given some advice on how it is that you communicate well to people. Now, if he got pissed off, not my problem. As salespeople, you have to manage your emotions. If they come out of the phone, I do have competition. I didn't mention that. There's always competition. All right. Over and over, we talked about the new model of selling and the process by which you go through step by step in order to create the right emotion in the buyer. Well, now Futrell introduces the emotions in the buyer. So let's map them. When you build trust, what you're trying to do is get the person's attention. How do you do that? You must create some rapport. The person you must open your presentation in a way that causes the person to look across and say, oh, I like you. I like you. Like, ooh, I like you. That gets their attention. You don't do some some technique. You don't do a demo up front. You don't tell a joke. You need to build rapport and get the person to pay attention. Interest. How do you get someone's interest? You ask them questions. We're going to go over spin selling next week. You ask a series of questions that causes the person to go from to really. Whoa. This is the process of identifying needs. That's where the interest emerges. D, desire. When does the desire emerge? It's when, in your presentation, you connect the benefits of your product or service that fulfill the needs that you identify. When that happens and you learn, whoa, I get this and this and this, that solves my problem. Up comes the desire. Yeah, I want that. So naturally when that happens, what does the person do? They ask you questions. And they ask you the price. Conviction emerges once they realize that the price is within reason, that they could actually afford it. Then all you have to do is say, is there any reason we shouldn't move forward today? And that becomes the action. Attention, interest, desire, conviction, and action. Any questions? Let's now go to presentations. Futrell talks at length in Chapter 8 about the 4 different presentations. And they are, Mr. Esri, number 1.
Know who you're...
No, the 4 kinds of presentations. There are 4 types of presentations.
I don't know the first one. I don't know.
Memorized, formula,
Problem solving.
need satisfaction, and problem solving. Those are the 4. All right, here's real life. To be effective, none of you, not one of you, should ever deliver a memorized presentation. Don't do it. In the old days, when you had a product, and National Cash Register was selling cash registers, and Patterson gave them a book. You by rote, you memorized everything. How does it feel to a buyer if everything coming out of the salesman's mouth is rote? It's done in a monotone, and they might even practice it enough to put in some intonation. But is it considerate of your needs? No. Now, you are going to memorize parts. The parts that work, you're going to memorize those, but not an entire presentation. Formula presentation. What is the basic definition of when you should use a formula presentation? Ms. Hines.
When you know a lot about the customer already, but you still are only contributing 50 to 60% to hear the other person's questions too, or interests.
So what we know about formula is similar people, similar needs. Similar people have similar needs. Every time I made a cold call for Edward D. Jones back in the dinosaur era, I handed out the nickel business card and I asked them if they ever invested their money. And I had a formula to do that. If they said, yes, we do, I would say, how do you feel about the interest you're receiving? If they said, no, we don't, I'd say, how do you feel about the interest you're getting on your savings? Same kind of question. And that would begin a little conversation regardless of what they said. That's a formula approach. Portions of your presentations can be formulaic, but it has to stop when you begin identifying needs. You're not selling a product, you're trying to satisfy needs. So the two presentations you're going to focus on, and they're very similar, are need satisfaction. That's this. And problem solution. Only difference is a problem solution is a selling process in which you have to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that the customer has a problem that he didn't know he had. For instance, a firm I used to work with sold high quality specialty oil. And this oil was used in machines to lubricate the machine. Machines typically need lubrication because as they run, little bits of metal flake off on the inside. The oil catches that and continues to allow the machine to operate. But the extent to which those particles then begin to clog it up cause the machine to fail. So the whole idea is, in lubricants, it's to identify the specific lubricant that works the best with a specific machine. So a salesperson would come in and say, how concerned are you about making sure that your machines last even beyond their warranty? The person would say, yeah, what are you talking about? If you'd allow me to test, pull some oil out, I'll go to our lab, I'll test it. It'll talk about the extent to which its viscosity is broken down, how much metal's in it. You can tell me how long the lubricant's been in there. I can evaluate the quality of it over time. My metal is going to be better. I just need to prove it to you. So the analysis comes back, you put it on paper, you show your metal and your oil and their oil, and they go, whoa. But yours costs 5 times more, but it makes my machine last twice as long and I don't have to replace it. Therefore, it's cheap for me to pay more for oil than it is to buy new machines. That's a problem-solution presentation. Have we got 7 minutes? I'm going to talk briefly about group presentations. What's different about a group presentation? One, you first have to determine who. That's not a difference. And you have got to creep every person on the group, the group to whom you're going to present. So that in your presentation, you can make a portion of your presentation to this person, knowing who they are and what motivates them, different to this person. Because if you make your presentation personally to every person in the group, what happens? All of them buy. They say, whoa, I like this. Number 2, you have to involve every person in some way. Why do you pace with a purpose? Why do you maintain good eye contact? Because you want to engage every person. And you need to get them involved. One of the techniques is to use a handout. And you make a particular point and you say, here's a handout. I'd like you to focus on the 3rd paragraph. Take your pen and circle the 3rd paragraph. Why do you do that? Because when they put their mark on it, they own it. It's no longer your handout, it's theirs. You have to involve them. Next, you've got to leave a proposal. You don't begin with a proposal. Why? Because they'll read it. You don't want them reading a proposal while you're making your presentation. At the end you say, we've left our proposal, and in your presentation you do not talk about price. You might talk about the competition. You might talk about how you fare versus the competition, and you'll learn here in a couple chapters, you never ever make your competition look bad. We have great competitors. Let me explain to you why we're different. And last, make sure you finish with a summary of benefits at the end, and then the most important part of a group presentation. All you're trying to do, the optimal length of a group presentation is 6 minutes. What if you have an hour and you only take 6 minutes and you do it effectively? How will people feel if the meeting ends early? Barlow?
Happy.
Hey, that was easy. I got it. It's done. They'll love you. Number 2, you have to keep their attention. At the end of 6 minutes, on Friday, I'll explain to you exactly how to do this. At the end of your 6-minute presentation, they think it's going to go on for an hour. You say, are there any questions? If you've done this well, if you've gotten their attention, if you've explained the benefits they're going to get that fulfill their needs, the one thing they need to do right here is ask you the magic questions. The magic questions are those that when you answer them, what happens, Mr. Langford? They buy! So it's easy. That's what the purpose of the Q&A session. And you have to be really good and really prepared for Q&A. We'll talk about that on Friday. Last thing, before we're done. How should you negotiate? This comes from not only Futrell, but the idea comes from Stephen Covey, who wrote the fabulous book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's on my reading list. I heartily recommend it to you. Covey says, this is a summary of all of the best improvement ideas for human beings that people have ever come up with. That was Covey's project, to collect all the information and summarize it in one book. That's what it is. In order for you to achieve your long-term goals and the goals of your clients, the result of every negotiation must be, Ms. Snyder, the goal of every negotiation should be
Create a win-win situation.
create a win-win situation. There you go. What if you have different ideas, different prices, you're always going to have differences. It's your job as a salesperson to resolve them. Here's the process. You listen completely. You say, man, I know your concern, you've addressed this concern. Help me understand why this is so important to you. You listen. You listen without, what does Pink tell us? Listen without hearing. Listen completely. Then ask for more information. Really? Now why is that? Understand her point without being judgmental. Then you say, so let me make sure I understand your point. Your idea is this and this and this and this and this and that. And if the person says, yes, that's my point, you succeeded. That's the first goal. Now I understand her point without being judgmental. Then I step back and I think to myself, this is the benefit to her, this is the benefit I want. Now what is a compromise? Does it work? Yeah, it does, but a compromise means I'm going to give up something if you'll give up something, right? How do you feel about that? No, I don't like it either. Like, oh, I don't want to. I want what I want. The end result of a negotiation is not compromise. It's called synergy. So you understand her point, you got yours, you think to yourself, how can I get both? That's the goal. Have a conversation so that it's synergy as a brand new idea emerges you never thought of before that is sparked by understanding your position. You want to win an argument? Don't argue. Do win-win and figure out some form of synergy that solves both parties, something you've never thought about before. When you do that, how does your customer feel when he gets what he wants?
Sad.
Does he want you to come next time? You bet. Guaranteed customer. What happens if you do win-lose? How's that feel, Mr. Caleb? Yeah, it does, because you won. And how about the second time? There's no second time, because he won't want to come back. What if it's reversed? What if you do a lose-win? Do you want to go back? No! What if you say, I don't give a you-know-what, I just want to win? Doesn't work. If the objective is long-term, satisfying relationships that enable you to get deeper and deeper in meeting the company's needs, and then enable that to get deeper and deeper in your pile of Benjamins, Mr. Egbert. Win-win. If you can't reach win-win, step back, no deal. I got to think about something, some powerful piece of synergy that enables us to both win. How do you win? How do you get someone to say yes? You got it? You got a plan? It's about them. You got to create meaningful objectives. You got to think about their needs and benefits. You have to make a presentation that embodies that. And you have to do it all along the process. And when you do this well, that meets their needs, you win every time. That's the goal. Friday, we're going to talk about how to make and how to put together an argument that is persuasive. See you then.